Have you ever talked to someone who actually lived in a nursing home and heard the real truth about it? In fact, there are hidden costs to moving into a nursing home. And I'm not just talking about money. These are things you've worked hard to protect all your life, and now they might be quietly slipping away inside a system that was supposed to take care of you. Some nursing homes offer excellent care, dedicated staff, and a clean, safe environment. But even in the best-run places, something subtle happens. You stop being the author of your own life. And that change, it doesn't always feel like relief. It often feels like loss. In this video, we're going to uncover 6 powerful reasons why you should think twice before giving up your home and moving into institutional care after 70. These are not scare tactics. They're eye-opening truths backed by experience, research, and the stories of thousands of seniors who've lived it. From declining health to emotional setbacks, from silent isolation to painful regrets, each reason paints a picture of what life can really look like when you no longer call the shots. If you've ever wondered whether a nursing home would bring you safety or strip away what really makes you feel alive, this video is for you. And if you've already started hearing your children, doctors, or friends mention assisted living as the next step, it's even more important that you watch until the very end. Because when you're over 70, every decision matters, and your next chapter should be one you choose, not one that's chosen for you. Now, let's get started. Number 1. Loss of autonomy. One of the most heartbreaking things that can happen after a person moves into a nursing home is the slow, quiet erosion of autonomy. The ability to choose your own meals, your own bedtime, when to take a walk, or even whether you want to sit outside in the sun. All those decisions that once seemed small but made you feel alive suddenly belong to someone else at first. It might seem convenient. No more grocery shopping, no more cleaning or cooking. But as the days turn into weeks, something changes. Your schedule is no longer yours. Your preferences become secondary. And eventually, you stop asking for what you want altogether. The deeper issue here is psychological. When people lose the ability to make decisions, they often lose the desire to try. Studies on aging show that seniors with more control over their daily lives are not only happier, but they also live longer. There's something life-affirming about choosing what to wear, how to spend your time, or even when to be alone. In nursing homes, those simple choices are often dictated by routines built for efficiency, not for individuality. The staff isn't trying to be cruel. They're overwhelmed, following protocols and managing dozens of people at once. But the outcome is the same. You stop living your own life and start existing within someone else's. Now, let me tell you about Alan, a 75-year-old man from Ohio. Before moving into a facility, he lived alone in a small ranch-style house. He still drove himself to the barber every month, made his favorite beef stew once a week, and listened to his jazz records every night before bed. But after a bad fall, his son convinced him it was time for round-the-clock care. Within 2 months of being in the nursing home, Alan stopped requesting music in his room. He gave up trying to choose his own clothes in the morning, and he even forgot the recipe he had cooked for 40 years, not because of memory loss, but because no one asked him anymore. No one made room for the person he had always been. If you can still live independently, even with help from a loved one, a neighbor, or a visiting caregiver. Do everything you can to hold on to that freedom, because the day you lose the right to decide your own life is the day you stop being the main character in your own story. And my friend, at this stage of life, you've earned the right to stay in charge. Number 2, accelerated emotional decline. It's easy to assume that nursing homes are purely about physical care, meals, medications, safety. But what's often overlooked is the emotional cost. For many seniors, entering a nursing home doesn't just signal a change in living arrangement. It marks the beginning of a quiet, downward spiral in emotional well-being. And it happens faster than most families realize. When you leave behind your home, you're not just giving up a physical space. You're giving up your memories, your sense of familiarity, and the emotional rhythm of your everyday life. That rhythm, knowing where your coffee cups are, seeing your favorite chair in the morning light, hearing the creak of the floorboard you've walked across for decades, it all gets replaced with institutional lighting, generic furniture, and an unfamiliar routine dictated by a shift schedule, not your internal clock. This kind of disruption takes a toll on the emotional body. Many seniors report feeling a sharp drop in joy, motivation, and even their sense of self within just a few weeks of entering a facility.
What?
Because when you're surrounded by strangers, stripped of your familiar environment, and placed in a setting that quietly reminds you of your age and decline, it's almost impossible not to internalize the message. This is where people go. When they're done, let me share the story of Evelyn, an 82-year-old widow from Arizona. Her daughter thought moving her into a highly rated assisted living center would offer companionship and support. But within a month, Evelyn stopped reading her mystery novels. She used to go through 2 a week. She stopped participating in phone calls with her church group. She even avoided going to the common room, saying the sight of so many walkers and oxygen tanks made her feel like her spirit was aging faster than her body. Evelyn didn't need more medical attention. What she needed was emotional connection, purpose, and her sense of identity. But in the nursing home, those things were almost impossible to maintain. It's not the fault of the people who work in these places. They're often underpaid, overworked, and doing their best with what they have. But the environment itself often fails to provide what older adults need most, not just safety, but meaning. The loss of emotional independence, the feeling of being one among many, and the ever-present reminder of mortality can create a low-grade depression that's hard to shake. And when emotional health declines, physical health often follows. Studies show that seniors who experience depression have a significantly higher risk of developing chronic illnesses, experiencing cognitive decline, and even dying sooner. The heart and the mind are deeply connected. When one dims, the other tends to follow. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Number 3. Loss of autonomy. One of the quietest, yet most devastating, shifts that happens after moving into a nursing home is the loss of autonomy. Most seniors don't fully grasp it until it's already happening, until small choices they used to take for granted are suddenly out of reach. Autonomy isn't just about big decisions, like where to live or how to spend your money. It's about the daily things: when to wake up, what to eat, who to talk to, and even whether you want to sit in silence or play music on a rainy afternoon. When you're in your own home, your life is led by your own rhythm. If you feel like having a late breakfast, nobody's stopping you. If you want to watch your favorite movie at midnight, no one is checking in to remind you it's lights out. Nursing home, your day is often shaped by routines created for staff efficiency, not for your personal well-being. Meals are served at set times, medications are given on schedule, and group activities are often mandatory if you want to avoid being labeled as isolated. At first, this may sound like a small inconvenience, but for seniors who have spent their entire lives running households, raising families, managing careers, and making decisions for themselves, this slow erosion of personal control is emotionally devastating. It's like being gently nudged out of the driver's seat of your own life and into the back seat. Let me tell you about Tom, a 76-year-old retired firefighter from Pennsylvania. After suffering a mild stroke, his family convinced him to try a nursing facility just for a little while. At first, Tom was grateful for the support, but within a few weeks, he started to feel like a child again, told when to bathe, when to eat, and even which TV channels were acceptable in the shared lounge. Tom had spent decades living on his own terms, and now suddenly, everything felt predetermined. He told his grandson during a visit, "I didn't know how much I'd miss choosing my own cereal until I couldn't do it anymore. And it's not just about choice, it's about dignity. When you no longer get to decide the pace of your day or the people you spend time with, you start to question whether your preferences matter at all. This erodes self-respect, and that loss of agency can quickly spiral into frustration, withdrawal, or even quiet rebellion. Psychologically, humans need control to feel safe, especially as we age. When so many other things like health, mobility, or memory start to slip out of our hands, maintaining some level of autonomy becomes even more vital. Without it, people feel like they've become passengers in their own lives with no say in the destination. And here's the most heartbreaking part. Many seniors in nursing homes stop speaking up. They don't want to be labeled as difficult. They don't want to create trouble for the staff. So, they silently accept decisions they don't agree with, smile through meals they didn't choose, and nod politely when told it's time for group bingo. Even if they'd rather be reading a book alone. That kind of silent surrender eats away at a person's sense of self. When you're at home, even if you need a little help, you can still live on your terms. And that matters because the moment you feel like your voice no longer carries weight, you start to lose the very thing that makes life feel worth living. Your identity. Number 4. Exposure to institutional neglect. While many nursing homes are staffed with compassionate caregivers, the reality is that institutional neglect is far more common than most people realize, and it doesn't always look like abuse in the traditional sense. In fact, it's often invisible, subtle, and systemic. Missed medication doses, unreported bed sores, long waits for assistance, and a general lack of emotional attention. Over time, these seemingly small oversights can chip away at both health and dignity. Here's what people often forget. A nursing home isn't a family. It's an institution, and institutions run on protocols, shifts, and numbers. Even the best-intentioned staff members are often overworked, underpaid, and asked to care for far too many residents at once. Imagine being responsible for 10, 12, or even 15 seniors during a single shift. No matter how much heart you have, you simply can't be everywhere at once. That's when mistakes happen, not out of cruelty, but because the system is broken. Let's talk about Evelyn. She's 82 and used to be a school librarian in Ohio. She moved into a nursing facility after a fall that left her needing help with daily tasks. At first, her daughter visited weekly and everything seemed fine. But one afternoon, when her daughter dropped by unannounced, she found Evelyn sitting in a wet adult brief, uncomfortable and embarrassed. When asked, Evelyn whispered, "They said they'd be right back. That was 2 hours ago. It wasn't the first time. It wouldn't be the last." These aren't isolated incidents. Studies have shown that many nursing homes, especially those operated for profit, cut corners to save money. That often means fewer nurses, fewer aides, and fewer hours spent attending to individual residents. The result? Seniors left waiting for help to the bathroom, assistance with eating, or even their daily medications. But it's not just physical neglect. Emotional neglect is just as harmful. Being left alone for hours, rarely spoken to with real kindness, treated like a task instead of a person. This creates a deep, gnawing loneliness that no medication can fix. In fact, emotional neglect has been linked to faster cognitive decline, depression, and even increased mortality in seniors. What's worse is that many elderly residents don't complain. They fear retaliation. They worry that if they speak up, their treatment will get worse. So, they stay quiet. They nod and smile. And inside, they begin to wither, not just physically, but emotionally. Their world becomes smaller, dimmer, less worth engaging with. Now, let's be honest, this isn't always the case. There are caring professionals who do their best in impossible circumstances. But the very structure of nursing homes, the way they're funded, the way they're managed, often leaves residents vulnerable to neglect. It's a silent kind of suffering, one that doesn't leave bruises, but scars the soul. And here's the hardest truth. Once you've experienced that kind of neglect, it's difficult to unsee it, difficult to trust again, and incredibly difficult to recover your sense of worth. That's why staying at home, even with part-time help, often leads to better overall well-being. At home, you're not a room number. You're not part of a shift report. You're a whole person, living a life that still belongs to you. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below too. Let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. The broader community, outings are rare. Spontaneity is nearly impossible. Conversations can become monotonous, especially when they revolve around illness, aches, or past memories rather than shared experiences in the present. And the staff, while often well-meaning, are usually too busy to engage beyond basic care. This disconnection can quietly foster a dangerous mindset that you are no longer part of the world, but instead a spectator of it. That you're no longer contributing, only being cared for. And when people start to feel like a burden or an afterthought, it chips away at their self-worth, their motivation, and their joy. Staying out of a nursing home, when possible, allows you to keep your community ties intact. It lets you say hello to familiar faces on your street, participate in meaningful traditions, and keep discovering new things alongside old friends and younger generations. These experiences aren't luxuries. They're necessities for a full, connected life. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Final thoughts. At the end of the day, this isn't just a video about nursing homes. It's about how we choose to live, grow, and honor ourselves as we age. It's about the quiet power of maintaining dignity, freedom, and meaning, even when society tries to tell us it's time to settle for less. And it's about recognizing that you still have choices, that your story isn't over, that your presence still matters, and how you live your later years is entirely up to you. Aging doesn't mean surrendering. It means evolving. But in places where your life is tightly scheduled, your voice is muffled, and your individuality is flattened for the sake of routine, it's hard to feel that evolution. What makes life worth living? Laughter with friends, spontaneous trips to the store, quiet time in your garden, reading to your grandchild, or simply choosing what to have for dinner is often what disappears first in institutional care. That's not how it should be. You've probably noticed that none of the reasons we discussed today are just about logistics. They're about the soul, they're about your spirit, your relationships, your sense of identity. They're about how deeply you still feel alive. And when you place yourself in an environment that slowly strips those things away, no matter how clean or well-staffed it is, something inside begins to dim. That's not inevitable. It's avoidable. There's an old saying that goes, "We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing." That play might look different now. Less running, more reading. Less traveling, more gardening. But the spirit behind it is the same. It's the spark of curiosity, the courage to choose your own path, the belief that life still has surprises left to give. And trust me, it does so. Take this message to heart. Rethink what it means to age well. It doesn't have to mean giving up control. It doesn't have to mean institutional walls or cafeteria, food or group bingo at 2p.m. It can mean morning coffee on your porch. It can mean helping your neighbor fix his fence. It can mean waking up and deciding for yourself what this day is going to be. You're still here. You're still capable. And you're still writing your story. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching. And we look forward to seeing you in the next video.